Will you dare to forget everything you know and start all over again? So the last step in craft your character is dare to do it all over again. And what I mean by that is, when you go on this journey of discovery and transformation, then you feel that sense of, in the last step I talked about evolving and rising into this new version of yourself after you've done the work and you've tackled your beast. And there's a great sense of euphoria that comes with that, and there's a great sense of pride and even a heightened sense of understanding about the world and your life and your place in it. And you can feel quite inspired and motivated for life, and you feel like, well, for me anyway, I feel like this might last forever, and I've figured it out, and I know how I'm going to live, and I know what I'm going to do. And the funny thing is that tends not to last forever. As humans, we're interesting creatures. We tend to, kind of get used to things, and then things change, and we're always changing, we're always growing. We're part of nature, and nature's always growing, evolving. If you see it from 1 month to the next, it's not going to look the same. So this step is about forgetting all the things you thought you knew or you figured out on your last go of the spiral, and going back into it, being ready to, be humbled again, in a sense, because, it's not about always like constantly trying to work on yourself and strive to be more. That's, can get unhealthy when you're doing that. But that's why I say the importance of enjoying the last phase of evolving and rising into yourself, and just enjoy being and enjoy living and enjoy life. But when there is, something knocking on your door, like an old wound, or there's something blocking your path, and you just can't seem to get by it, you can't seem to make the money or make the business work, or you can't seem to like perform in your sport or whatever it is, or your relationships. If you can't seem to connect properly or deeply in relationship, then you might be like, right, there's something blocking me here, and maybe it's time I go back in again and choose who I want to be. You go over the steps again, start to accept what parts am I not accepting in myself, what do I need to do to actively push to become more and move into the version of myself I want to be. Is there a deep block here? Am I taking time on this journey to reflect and look back on how things are? And all the steps come back into play once we dare to go on the journey again. And I say dare because it can be nice to, as I said, nice to feel like, oh, I've made it to this, you've made it to this like level of the mountain. Let's say if life was a mountain, and I've got here, and I'm like, that was such an effort to get here, and it was such a journey. It was a magnificent, difficult, scary, inspiring, and I've grown so much. I've learned so much. I met so many nice people on the way up here, and it can be nice to just think, I'm just gonna rest here forever. But, what's the point in going any further? I think it's got quite a good view here. My life is grand, but I feel if we do that, then we're kind of giving into fear, because there's always more. There's always more you can keep going. And whether that mountain for you might be going deeper into yourself, might be going down, or maybe it's going up, I don't know. It's just an analogy. But, there's always more in the journey, in my belief anyway. And if we just say, I'm done now, I'm not going to do any of that personal growth stuff anymore, I'm just perfect right here, I don't need to check myself, I don't need to work on my beliefs, I don't need to work on my ego, I don't need to, etc., etc., then I think we go into this state of decay almost. If you think of a tree, it never stops growing until the day it dies. And I think humans are the same. We, like, growth is our natural state, and if we try to say, no, I'm just going to stay here because I feel safe here now, and I've done enough hard work, and I've made enough sacrifices, and I've learned enough, I'm just going to stay here, and I'm going to preach the same lessons I've been preaching for, I'm going to preach, this is the path, and I'm here, and I've got here, and I'm the guru now. I think that's a dangerous place to get to, when you just have this kind of transformation and you think, I've got it now. it's important to remember. Now I've fucking done that. That's why I'm that's how I learned these steps, because I got stuck on them, thinking I made it to some extent, and then you tend to get humbled and realize, oh, I thought I knew something and I don't, and I thought I'd heal the wound and it's actually much deeper. So yeah, it's having the courage to be like, right, if I need to go further into this, I'll keep going. And yeah, that's the last step, and then you go on the cycle again. And I suppose, it might seem overwhelming at the start, but I suppose the more times you go around the spiral or the cycle, the more you start to understand how it works for you. And I'm not saying it's going to work like this every time. It's not necessarily linear, but there tends to be commonalities in these stages that I've found in my own journey and from seeing other people's journeys. And you can look at the hero's journey. It's kind of similar in a sense. This is just what makes sense for me. But yeah, just having the courage to keep going on your path and not to remain stagnant for too long, and not to think, I'm done now, I'm tired, I want to rest. Like, take your rest when you need it, but we're all growing and we're all evolving as we move through life, and that's where real joy and beauty comes from, that growth, and that's where fulfillment comes from, in my belief, that when we are growing into that potential. Like, our potential is unlimited as human beings. The nature of a human being means your potential is unlimited. So yeah, I encourage you to keep daring to do it all over again, and also forgetting what you know, as much as obviously you're not going to forget everything you've learned, but not holding too tightly to certain beliefs, because if you look at martial arts, they talk about the beginner's mind, and if you really want to learn, you have to come into every training with a beginner's mind, not thinking, oh, if a black belt comes into I did a bit of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for a short time, and I like to see the lessons I can learn from that to apply to life. And if you're a black belt coming in and thinking, I'm a black belt, I know everything, and you're against another black belt with more experience, they're probably going to beat you, and you're going to be like, fuck, I was way too cocky there. I actually needed to just go back to beginner's mind to actually learn from this person. If you think you know it all, then you can't learn. You're not open to learning. You're not open to growth. So to let go of what you think you know and be open to, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe my beliefs about myself and the world are wrong. So it's not letting them go fully. It's just keeping them in this kind of box of uncertainty. And I think uncertainty is actually really important for growth, because in the Western world we tend to like certainty, we tend to like facts and science, and everything has to be proven. But in terms of when it comes to your own growth, I think it's healthy to have an element of uncertainty about even deeply held beliefs. Just be like, there's always a chance I'm wrong there, and everything is completely different, or my path is actually slightly different. So always open to that possibly changing with new information or new understandings. So yeah, I think there's a healthy uncertainty we can hold and go into that next stage just with a beginner's mind. And there's a sense of freedom when we start again. It's like, I'm open to learn here. I'm open to grow. I'm open to be shown what I need to be shown. So yeah, that is the last step. Step 7. And but yeah, that's the book in terms of the steps that's involved. Craft Your Character is what it's called. There's also loads of stories in there, different lessons I obviously haven't covered in these short videos, but if you'd like to get the book, you can check it out on Amazon. There should be links in the description. I also have copies. If you're in Ireland, I can post one out to you and sign it. So yeah, hope you enjoy. Any questions, let me know. Any feedback, I would love to hear it, and I will talk to you soon.